Well, hey, I am drinking coffee and talking to no one because there's no one on, but it's Saturday morning and I'm working by myself. And I thought that I would go live and see if there was anyone around who wanted to chat about whatever. I mean, so many of us are sitting in our houses right now, not being able to go out and hang out or do anything. And so I'm drinking coffee and thought, what the heck? I will just hit the live button and hope that somebody is around who wants to talk to me. I do have some updates and things. So for people who come back around and watch this later, it's not totally just me sitting here, like, you know, but I'll give it a couple of minutes. If people jump on and are around to chat, then that's cool. Hey, Phil, I was hoping that you might pop on. I was also hoping that a couple other people from the challenge would pop on. Awesome. Hey, Chris. Perfect. Oh my God. I'm so glad you guys are around because it's so hard being here by myself all the time. Um, and I was hoping you guys would be around because I need some advice. Like, I need some help, right? So there's a couple things. One is so for the challenge for April, I was really not sure that I was going to do it. And it seems like there are a handful of people that are really getting a lot out of it, and then some new people who want to join in. And so I'm really thinking hard about going forward on it, but this time doing it in a Facebook group. And so I really don't like Facebook groups that much because I really don't like that people use them and abuse them to try and sell everybody constantly. And so I haven't really been that fired up about starting one, but I've been convinced and I went ahead and did it. But I don't know. I just am going to need help figuring out like how to make it valuable. And so I set it up, and I'll drop the link in the description if you guys are interested in getting in. April for me isn't going to be about creating content, I don't think. And Philip, I think, will be particularly interested in this, and maybe Chris, and also maybe David. And I'll just tell you guys because you guys are here and nobody else is here. But I've been talking to the guys over, at least one of the founders at Surfer, the Surfer tool, and I've never used it at all. Right? I am sort of an SEO like moron. I mean, I really like strategies that don't involve worrying about SEO all that much. People who say I can succeed without paying attention to SEO, and I've really ignored that part of my education. And I feel like year 2 on this case study is going to be a time to work on that and try to get better at that. And so I have been talking to one of the founders at Surfer about doing sort of a case study in the month of April. They've given me access to the tool, which is super cool. And we recorded a kickoff video for it yesterday. So we're going to kick it off, kick off the whole thing here in April, on April 1. And I haven't looked at the tool hardly at all. And I honestly don't know if it's going to be that good or not. Sean has said in his videos that he really doesn't like it and doesn't think that the value is there. And, I don't know. I mean, I love to test things and love to try things out. Hey, Jason, how's it going? We're just sitting around drinking coffee, talking about stuff. I was talking about my upcoming sort of like fun collab project with one of the guys from Surfer, which I'm really excited about because I feel like I'm going to learn a lot. And I'm going to learn a lot about the tool. And basically the idea is going to be that we're going to look at some content that I have that is not performing at all, right? I did, the alphabet soup or did whatever keyword research I did on my own, and then just whipped out some content or bought the content and then posted it, and it never went anywhere. And I'm sure that a lot of us have content that is like that. And so we're just going to test it out and see if we can get some of that content to start getting some traffic. I mean, I love the idea of really effective tools. I mean, if the tool, what we're able to do is take a piece of content that is ranking like 100th and, make it rank 25th, I mean, that's all well and good. But if it doesn't get any more traffic, then, raising the rankings of a post just for the sake of feeling good about myself, that isn't worth it. I mean, the point is to try to see if we can get get that piece some traffic and try to make it worth something. Because right now, I put that money in there or I put that time in there and it didn't go anywhere. So I'm going to check over in the comments because I've just been talking to myself and haven't been paying attention. Philip says he's got coffee, which is awesome. Chris, I know you are here, which is cool. Members of my cult are arriving. I definitely wouldn't call it that. Pravesh says, how is your Ezoic EPMV currently? Oh, it is in a free fall. It is in a free fall. It's down by 50% easily. And day to day, it sort of bounces up and down. And I am not stressing out about it that much because I think at this point, I think we all know what's going on. And it's sort of a stay the course situation. Just looking ahead and hoping that if we just continue to make everything work and continue to work on putting out content, improving it, that everything will be all right at the end later. Chris says, love your interview with Doug. Oh my gosh, thank you. I was so anxious about that, because I generally don't do interviews with other people. Like I like to ask questions and people don't ask me questions so that I don't have to expose how much less I know than these other people. I mean, I'm here on YouTube and I'm live and people can ask me questions, and I don't think anybody is here because I'm an expert in any way. But it felt weird to be going on Doug's channel, to talk about myself because I don't necessarily find myself that interesting. I mean, the reason Doug wanted to do it was because he wanted to highlight people who were still early on in the journey, and then hopefully in a couple of years or hopefully less, be able to highlight, the progress and how they made it to the other end. So it was kind of weird though to be have a video or a chat out there going to people who were much more successful than I am so far. So it's out there now and I can't take it back. And I had a lot of fun doing it, but I sort of want to just forget that it happened. Let's see. Philip says, probably talking about Surfer. He says, awesome. I love data tests and stats and all that. Yeah. I mean, I have just started test driving Surfer a little bit to get an idea of how it works, to see whether or not a moron like me can actually get some good value out of it, from scratch. And I think that will be part of any content that I create on it this month, is just showing people what it looks like on the inside. From what I can tell, they are still rolling out a lot of features in it. So it's not in beta per se, but there's still a lot more coming, I guess. I'm still getting into it, and I'm really enjoying it. Honestly, it's been really fun so far talking to Michael, and I know that's not the correct pronunciation of his name. He is currently in Poland, and I said, please tell me the correct pronunciation of your name. And he says, don't worry about it. Just call me Michael. I talk to people who speak English primarily all the time. And he says, Michael is cool. And I'm butchering it. And I'm so sorry. But I've been having a great time talking with him and just talking about the tool and their origin story, which I think is really neat. And so I'm looking forward to sharing that with folks. Paul says, hey, Paul, how's it going? Thanks for dropping in. Philip says, I'm super interested in this. Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's great. Chris says, how will you test whether it worked? Maybe need a rank tracker like SERP Robot for the study. Maybe. I'm sort of doing the manual method. I take the keyword that I want the piece to rank for, and I'm going and putting it into Google and then trying to find it and then seeing where it is. And maybe that's not the best or most scientific way of analyzing where it pops up. I suppose I should use an incognito window. Michael has an idea for establishing that, and I'm going to let him sort of direct where he wants that to go. But ultimately, I mean, for the average user who doesn't have tons of tools, I mean, what do we do to see where our pages rank? We just Google it and then see where it pops up. So I probably should do something like SERP Robot. I've just never used it. There's so many tools that I haven't used. I don't use a ton of tools, and maybe I should. Maybe that would catapult me to success. I don't know. Philip says mine is dumped to like $8. Pravesh says mine has come down to $1 to $2 from $4 to $5. Yeah, that seems to be really consistent with where a lot of other people are. Robert says he's planning to switch to Monumetric, and so he's talking with Phil. Yeah, I don't have any experience with Monumetric or AdThrive or any of those other platforms, but this sort of circles us back around to where I started from, which was talking about the challenge for our content or accountability stuff for April. I'm going to try and moving the group over to Facebook, doing a Facebook group there. And a couple of people have just already know about it because I sent them a message. David Barker, who's in the accountability sort of circle, has agreed to be a moderator for it, because one of the things that I hate about Facebook groups is the spam. Like, you let people in that you don't know, and they want to post links to things or promote themselves or whatever, which I totally get. I understand why people are doing it and what their motivation is and are, but that's not what this group is really about. It's not really about raising anybody's profile, really, including mine. The purpose of going there is to just do some work and get some things done and get their goals out there and saying it out loud, and that's that. So I will put the group URL in the description of this later, after the fact. So if people are interested in jumping into it, they can. But I will just say straight up, like, anybody who abuses that group it's just going to hammer them out. Just not interested. There's a lot of people who are really into growing groups. You're like, wow, that's a really great opportunity to grow a group. And I'm like, ugh, I'm such an awful affiliate marketer. I'm so terrible. I just have little interest in trying to grow a group for the group's sake. All right, well, seriously, I didn't really come on today with an agenda. I just wanted to come on and drink coffee and see what everybody else was doing. In the chat box, if you're over there, tell me, how are you and where are you and what is going on? I mean, I'll hang out here as long as people are interested and want to, I don't know, community, like rub shoulders or whatever. But if we don't have much to chat about, then I'll say, see you later. But what else is going on? I'm really about this close to podcasting. I've just been doing a lot of these interviews lately on the YouTube channel, and they've honestly been my favorite of all the things to do. I mean, way more than, I go live all the time because it's probably good for me. But at podcasting, I really think that would be a good place for me, because I really enjoy interviewing people, and I really would like to sort of jump on this trend. I don't know, like, is it too late? Is now the time? I mean, you watch Pat Flynn's content and he's like, the time is now. But hi, mind, if you guys are watching this, and in the comments, if you have bought mics for YouTubing or podcasting, whatever recommendations that you have, I would love to hear it, because I spent about an hour so far before giving up and just like going live on here, because I was like, oh, maybe some people over there will know what's good or what's not. Maybe they have something. But I just thought I would ask and see if anybody has a good recommendation for things. I mean, all these mics have, the Z7 45,000 X27 mic, and I don't have one like to say, like, this is the one, like the ATR, blah, blah, blah. But if anybody is watching this and is live right now and has a recommendation, or you are watching this after the fact and like, this is a great mic to use, then share it for me in the comments and tell me. And I'm going to try to order something today, and goodness knows whenever it will arrive, because I mean, who knows whether or not Amazon is going to be delivering stuff. Phil says, my new site is going well. I'm going to write up a 0 to 3 month review next week. I'll share that with you if you want. Yeah, absolutely. I love hearing you guys' progress. The gentlemen and ladies who are doing this work, it sort of keeps me going. It keeps me afloat, keeps me interested, because otherwise it's just like me and my computer, me and my Google Analytics, and the community part is honestly really, really enjoyable. Chris says, I'd be interested to read your progress report, Phil. Me too. especially for some of you folks that are really banging out content. Like Phil has this goal of putting out 100 pieces of content this month, and I think did so last month. And that's just phenomenal. I mean, if you're, whether or not you're outsourcing that content and posting it or creating it yourself and posting it, I mean, that's just a huge amount of work for any website operator owner. And I would love to know more about how that is working out. Phil says, yeah, I wanted to see if someone hammered a new domain with loads of content. You know, some of the question is whether or not the content would rank as well unless you dripped it out over time, because of any sort of throttling for the crawl budget. I mean, if you posted too much all at once, that it wouldn't get crawled potentially as quickly. You couldn't launch it as well because there were just fewer, you didn't have as many resources from the Google to really give it the time and attention that it needed. I launched my site last year, and it took me 2 months to get 2.5 months to get 200 posts up, but I don't know for sure one way or another whether that was a good or bad idea, whether or not things would have been better or worse if I had dripped that out over time. I mean, I felt like I kind of did, because it wasn't 100 posts in a day. It was like 10 posts a day, and, you know, 10 here and 5 here and 10 here. Bill says there are so many myths and unknowns and new domains and ranking. And yeah, I mean, the only way to know is to try it out. Pravesh says, do you pay for backlinks or go with natural flow? I mean, Phil and Chris definitely have some different strategies than I do. I have paid for officially one backlink ever for this particular case study, and one backlink ever just in general. And I honestly can't say for sure one way or another whether that had a positive impact on anything at all. You know, because there's so much that you can't control. You have a site that is growing, and you're like, okay, I'll throw a backlink at it, and is the growth that you see from that the result of your backlink, or because of the natural organic growth as the domain ages? So Phil says, no backlinks here ever. Says, I always think about it though. You know, I'm right in the middle of going through Matt Diggity's course. Matt gave me a copy of this a couple weeks ago, or about a month ago. He reached out to me, which was apparently I was contacted by a celebrity superstar. I mean, I had no idea that was the case, but the fact that he reached out to me out of the blue was apparently a big deal. And I felt bad. You know, I've said this before, but I felt bad about it because I didn't know who he was, and I didn't feel the benefit of it until after the fact, until I researched him. But he gave me access to Affiliate Lab. And he is huge on backlinking, and I'm really thinking about my next case study. I have this site that I bought from Flippa last year. It is, it's got about 200 pieces of content on it, and the content is so-so, but I bought it for about $1,500, and it gets maybe 1,000 users, or 1,000 sessions a month right now. And I've been thinking about what specifically to do to improve it. I mean, obviously, new content is something that needs to be done, but also going back and revamping old content, potentially using Surfer, and maybe looking at specifically applying the strategies that Matt Diggity talks about. You know, he's way more into links than anybody else I've ever followed. And I feel like that's sort of the next stage of my development in bringing these content sites forward. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I could see that potentially as being the next sort of like package of content to work on. It's like my, you know, case study number 2 is this maybe flipping a site from Flippa. I don't know. I'll have to think of something to call it. But I do have this site that's been waiting in the wings for a while, and I've got to figure out something to do with it here in the future. Otherwise, I'm just paying for a domain and not doing anything with it. I mean, I'm not paying extra for the hosting because it's already on an account that is big enough for it. So I pay the same no matter what there, but it would be nice to make that make it something of value, either to hold or to sell. Phil says, if someone can show me how to get a positive ROI with buying backlinks, I try. I get a positive ROI with content, so that's where I double down. Chris says, Pravish, for site 1, I use HARO, which is help a reporter out, and manual outreach for guest posts. For site 2, I'm buying curated content from RhinoRank. And Sean got me into RhinoRank. I mean, Sean knows his stuff. I literally know nothing about RhinoRank because, again, like I'm sort of like meh about tools in general. I would like to know more about RhinoRank. I don't have any idea what it is. I don't know how it works. But I guess it's one of those things I should probably look at in the future. Chris says, I don't want to take the risk buying links with Site 1 because it's my baby. That's how I feel about my other sites that I don't share too much on this channel because I don't want to screw them up. That's why I talk about this case study that I have, that it's fun, like just trying all kinds of things on it. I'm actually really interested. I talked to John Dykstra a couple days ago. I think I have his interview going live maybe today, maybe right now, maybe tomorrow. I can't remember what time that is happening, but he's really big into PWAs or has been previously. And I've never used a PWA, and he pretty much convinced me that I should try. And so that's something that I probably will try it out and then create content on it later. Phil says, as long as you know they don't do manual outreach and you're happy with it, yeah, that's cool. So yeah, I'm hoping in the future that we'll have more like tests, like I tried this out content for April and May. The Surfer collab, that's cool. Podcasting, I have never launched one of these, but I think it will be really fun for me, and I'll have to figure out sort of what to do with it and what to talk about that's different than what I already do over here. I honestly don't know if that will aim for and help or engage the audience that is interested in the content that's already on this channel. Who's to say? And yeah, I think I'm going to pull the trigger though and buy a mic today. I think I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to stop dithering. I've been going back and forth and dithering on this for a month probably. And I think it's just time. There's no better time than now, right? Like nothing. So what else do you all want to talk about since we're here and we're not doing anything else, or we should be doing other things, but we're not? For real, like what else do we want to chat about? Nothing? Ooh, 970 subscribers to the channel. We've got 30 more people to get to 1,000. 30 more. Can you believe that I'm all the way there? I cannot believe it at all. Oh, and I have 3,670 watch hours. So I need 330 watch hours. Like 30 is the theme. I need 30 more subscribers and 330 more watch hours. And honestly, the reason that I want to get to 1,000 is I want the ability to leave that little message thing that, you know, people see, so they get the update, so that I can say, you know, like, hey, I'm going to do this, or here, check this out. Like that doesn't, you don't have that function or like that thing. I'm less so for that. I am going to monetize the channel as soon as possible because I'm curious to see what any of this content is really worth. But I'm not going to, I don't know. I guess I'll see whether or not it hurts the views or whatever. I don't know that much about it. It's never happened to me. So I've never grown a channel to 1,000 people before. So let's see. Phil says, we're going to get ads soon. Let's give the ladies some up thumbs. I'll give you guys all some up thumbs, and I'll pat myself on the back for you because I'm sure you would do that if you were here. Jason, I would love to know more about what you are working on. I saw you pop up. I see you pop up basically all the places that I pop up, and I am always wondering what it is that you are up to. I saw you pop up in the Empire Flippers live stream the other day, and I went over there with the intent of like trying to help the episode along and, you know, try to contribute as much as I could to give those guys plenty to talk about. Because apparently there weren't a lot of people who attended the previous one. I was like, yeah, those of us, you know, we can make this episode really good if we're in the comments and giving these guys plenty of stuff to do. Because, you know, being here, these types of live streams are way more interesting when people in the chat comment and participate. It's way more fun. It's way more fun for me than it is just to sit here and like crickets. Like, But yeah, getting put on the spot, that happened to me yesterday. I was on Doug Cunnington's live stream, because he goes on every Friday morning and just, I think he just goes to shoot the breeze mostly because it's fun. I'm not quite sure what the purpose is of those live streams, because he's like, yeah, if you have questions, they're probably questions that I already have on my website. So go to my website. He does answer some questions, but a lot of them he skips over and then just kind of chats about whatever he feels like. And so I was literally in my pajamas with like lines on my face from the bed. And I was like, oh, I'll just catch up with Doug, what he's doing. And then he's like, do you want to Skype right now? And I was like, let me check my hair. And is there anything on the floor like embarrassing? And it was an exercise in sort of just being okay, being out there and being put on the spot. And I don't know how good it turned out, honestly. Like, Doug had never even used that technology before, so it didn't work right away, and nobody could hear me at first. And it was sort of like, well, let's just roll with it and see how it is, see how fun it is. Somebody did send me this really cute video. I saw it come through my Facebook feed. It was a group of people, like 4 people, finishing up a meeting, and then they're like, okay, see you later. And then one of the guys jumps up and then walks away, and he's been in his underwear the whole time. And it's like walking around his house in his underwear, and all the other people are laughing because he doesn't realize that he's still on the camera. And then they call him and tell him, and it really made me laugh. And it also made me think of yesterday, because I feel like that could have been so me. It's like, okay, make sure I have pants on, and then when it's over, to turn off, make sure the camera is all the way off so that nobody sees me running around in my underwear. I'm very observant, very attentive, great. I'm trying my best. You take whatever skills that you have and make the most of them. Well, I had wondered if more people would jump on. I did this 2 weeks ago, and we had about 20 people hop on, and I don't know if people are out running around, which I suspect not, or if they're just not on this, or maybe they're just not that interested. I feel like I've been everywhere this week, and or maybe the title of this live stream didn't pull people in because I didn't say, websites or Ezoic or whatever. But I don't know. It's still fun for me. I'm still enjoying it. And people who watch this after the fact, if they watch it, it's because they need something to do and don't feel like scrolling through their TikTok anymore. But I will probably wrap this up. I have drank most of my coffee, unless people have other things they want to chat about, stuff that they're hearing or seeing around in the world. I mean, pretty much as long as people are interested in hanging out, like I'm cool. I'm just drinking my cup of coffee before I get to work today. One thing I think is funny that you'll laugh about is I think I've injured myself. I spent so much time like using the mouse and then typing that I am starting to have pain like right here in my wrist. And, is it carpal tunnel? Is it some sort of like overuse thing? But I probably will struggle to make my goals for this month for the typing, because it hurts now to sit at a keyboard and type. And that's such a lame reason to not get to my goals for the month. Phil says, sometimes it's good to use Google Docs voice typing. I have used that in the past, and I think it's a really good way to get some content up. I just haven't had, I like working on stuff that sort of needs like formatting and needs bullet points and needs stuff. And so it needs my hands, and you have to edit it loads. Yeah, that's really what happens. And I don't know that's any faster or that the content is any better, because it's kind of rambly. And so I have a feeling that what I'm going to do is just punch out what I can for this month for the challenge and just call it good. Like, okay, well, I've got 50,000 words for the month, and I wrote that myself for the month. And I think I can get another 5 or maybe 10 before, in the next couple of days. Maybe not. I don't know. Chris says he's in Vancouver, BC. Yeah, how is it in Vancouver? I mean, are people like locked down? Are people freaking out? Are we hoarding toilet paper like they are here? Because there's still no toilet paper on any of the shelves here, and it's mind-boggling that the shelves are full of beer and full of coffee and full of all kinds of things like that aren't could not be available in the future, but it's toilet paper that people can't buy. Like it shows up in a load at the local grocery store here, and then people are waiting in line for it and buy it. And I literally don't understand it. Phil says he's in the UK. I did not know, Phil, that you were in the UK. I had no idea. I had talked to another friend of mine who is over there, and he was talking about, or he didn't talk about, I guess I asked him about it, but I'd seen an article that the UK had originally tried for herd immunity and was literally doing nothing about it, was just trying to let everybody get it so that everybody could become immune. And I wondered if that was really a thing or if that was fake news. Chris says, yeah, everyone is freaked out. Shopping is such a weird experience. Everyone is afraid of each other. I saw a friend post a picture of himself waiting in line to go into the Walgreens in New York City. Like they were only letting 10 people in the store at a time. They had like 10 spots, and they were a bunch of spots, and people were standing on the spots, and the spots were spaced out 6 feet apart. And then every time somebody would go in, they would all get to move up a spot, and then somebody would come out. And so they're not doing any of that here. And it's always interesting to me to hear about everybody else's experience and how this is playing out for them. Phil says, not really. Obviously, our healthcare is free, but it can only handle so much. They're panicking about busting the healthcare system, so trying to tier people getting it, if that makes sense. It does, because that's the whole idea about the flattening the curve, right? Just spreading out how it is that people get it so that the healthcare system can manage it. Because it's really likely that if this thing continues to spread the way it is, that everybody will get it at some point. The question just is, how bad is it, and can the hospitals handle it? I think I've already had it. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks so, but I'm fairly certain that my family had it last month already. Yeah, your PM has it. I saw that. And I heard one of the royals maybe had it too, like Prince Charles or one of the princes. I guess that could be a really high profile way, though, to help calm people down about what happens when you get it. People over here, especially people in the vulnerable class, are just assuming that they're dead if they get it, and they are really panicky about it. I think a lot of people do get it, and they're going to be able to recover. Obviously not everybody, but it's not an automatic death sentence for 100% of people. It's like the captain of the ship going down. Are they talking at all about how well he's doing as far as his health? Like, he's got the virus, but is he in good shape? Is he still able to, manage his job as the leader in charge and all the rest of that? Is the UK in as bad a shape as the news makes it out to sound? It sounds like France and Spain are in way worse shape than a lot of places. Even our health minister has it. Wow. He's the one telling us how not to, and he's the one, yeah, and then he gets exposed to it. I think a lot of people in the government have probably been exposed to it, and there's probably more people than we know who have it. They're just not telling because they don't want people to be in mass hysteria about everybody being sick. Yeah, I don't think we're among the worst. It's really hard to know because some of these countries really control the flow of news coming out. I have wondered what will happen if it really gets into India, right? They have so many people there, and they have so many people living in close quarters, and what will happen there. And I've heard very little coming out of India, and also very little coming out of a lot of the other countries in Asia. And maybe it's just because I'm missing it, but there are a lot of countries over there where it seems like it could be really devastating if it really gets in there. I'm really curious if in 6 months we'll see the southern hemisphere blowing up. When it's all warm and nice here, Will the places where we're not seeing hardly any cases at all, like in Central and South America, if we're going to start seeing it exploding there, or if they will keep their borders closed and keep us all out and then ride the storm out just fine. Let's see. You're right, though. I bet more people had it that don't even know than those who do know. Yeah, I mean, because you can't get tested. And at this point, you're probably better off just assuming that you had it or have it and staying away from other people and then jumping in your car and going down to the whatever testing center and waiting to be tested. You know, just assume you have it. Just assume that you're going to spread it and then stay at home and not go give whatever germs you have to any other people. All right. Well, I think that my coffee cup is pretty close to empty. It's been great talking with Phil and Chris and the other folks that have been lurking on the stream and haven't popped in. I really enjoy these chats and I really appreciate you guys. And let's do it again. You know, maybe we'll actually schedule it on purpose so that more people can be here instead of it being sort of a surprise. But anyway, we'll chat soon. Oh, yeah, and I'll put the link to the Facebook group for folks who want to jump in on the accountability challenge for April. We're going to try this adjusted format and to see how it works. All right, everyone, take care.